as their teammates rip apart the opposition.
And the scariest thing is that SKT outdid a KT comp twice in completely different fashion. Game 1 was all about the Fizz counter pick in the mid lane. Game 2 was about the shields for Bang, and Game 2 looked even more ruthlessly effective. So KT, its back's against the wall. They need to throw out something. They need something that was to the level of how they dismantled Samsung. They need to find a weakness that maybe even SKT does not know they have. So far the bans are pretty simple, and that's a respect ban towards the Lee Sin. Won't be first picked by KT, will be denied from Peanut, who may end the season 11-0.
It's like that very well may just be the case here. Lee Sin, Fizz off the board. The cannon yet again here from SK Telecom. Haven't really had to change things up much, except for abstaining to ban the third and final in the first round there in game number 2. So Rumble comes out from them. We'll see if the Graves gets taken away, but we already saw Score got his hands on it. Wasn't able to make anything happen.
Last ban on blue side is actually Renekton, so basically begging for a Camille ban. KT, of course, the standard laning matchup into that Camille, but he can still go Poppy, which on 7.7 is super strong. We're still on 7.6 with Galio disabled, so they will ban the Camille as a respect. This does leave, like you say, something like Graves available. Oh, first pick Jace.
This is really bold here from KT, and again, I mean, this is technically a flex. We saw Juan run this before. Wasn't the greatest Jace that we've ever seen, but it is certainly something that can flip between that top and mid spot.
Does SKT just pick
Or they
Shen?
give it the deft.
Does SKT just pick Shen early? That is a possibility for them. Of course, then the first pick would likely happen, but are you afraid of Pawn's mid lane, Jace? My first instinct is no. It's been 2 games of Lulu already for the side of SKT, and it will be a third.
It's been instrumental for them. Wolf has been playing this so well throughout this series. Now going to be his 6th game of Lulu this season. Brings it back out, and it's going to be Peanut shifting over towards that Graves, available for him since Lee Sin is not.
Least probably going to be selected by KT Roll, so you'd have to think. Yeah, the Jace flex pick, as you say, outside chance. Heavily expecting top. If we see a Shen ban, definitely going to be top, you'd have to think. And will KT just keep going to the same? Well, it was their flexibility against Samsung. The Jinx, for example, that once again captured the imagination of Def's champion pool. That was often with Ashe banned. Ashe is still very, very powerful. A lot of teams will favor it. But it's going to be a 3rd game in a row of Ashe from KT. They don't want to deal with any shield shenanigans. No last pick Twitch. What KT is hoping, so they will take away the Karma. Likely as a support. Most played this season for Mata.
Yeah. It'd be too shocking to see that one go for him. And the Twitch is already hovered for SKT, and they're going to lock this in. So without the reliability of that Karma from the mid lane, they still want to opt into this. They commanded the bottom lane very well. Lots of early skirmishing that they were able to come back on top of, given that rotation down to the bottom lane for Peanut.
And now you have to ban Shen, 100%. You cannot afford to have the Shen versus Jace matchup, and a Stan United is, of course,
a submarine.
An extra shield coming through. As the submarine comps were a big thing years ago, Elise will be banned. So because they take away the Karma, they give up Elise, the ultimate comfort for the side of KT. KT have done their checks and balances. The balance report has come up, balanced Elise to Shen, and Shen will be taken away. First they came for my 2 Shens and I said nothing, and they took my 1 Shen away. Now there's no Shen, feels Batman. But the last ban, Ivern ban. Okay, so Score played a single game of Ivern. The only game in Korea of Ivern was Score. Just wailing away on Mowgli in his debut game for the Afrika Freaks. So they have obviously heard whispers of Ivern being back.
And now I'm mad at SKT, because if that was a possibility, I really wanted to see the Ivern.
And KT just basically did the math and said, okay, what's the replacement for Karma? Shen, we already mentioned, top lane good against Jace, and now also the Zillion as the other utility mid laner that can potentially give some freedom for the Twitch, but we still remain to see where this Lulu will be going. Still outside chance, it is mid lane Lulu.
There's going to be Rengar going over to Score. Gragas picked up for Huni.
So it could be mid lane or support taken here, and Pawn will return to the LeBlanc that has looked good, but again, it was well fought out by the Karma. Will it be a Lulu mid to deal with the LeBlanc in similar fashion, or will Faker want to end his regular season with a skill matchup?
I just feel like you can't leave the Twitch in the bottom lane without the Lulu, and having that mitigation from the shields would be so crucial, but looks like they might do it. All right, so they get rid of the mitigation, but they have the sustain from the ebb and flow.
No, but we're back to 2015. What works against LeBlanc? Karma, shields, yep. The Lulu works as well. So we asked, is Faker from the Doinby or the Power of Evil camp?
It's played to both sides.
He's going both. He's an EU LCS and an LPL lover. Good man is that Faker. He will be taking the mid lane utility mage in the Lulu. They need Twitch to do all the damage, but the damage chart may not have got the MVP for Bang, but certainly showed that Twitch is able to do that damage. And now, once again, it's a snowball draft for KT roster. Wave clear is not as good as, of course, old Lulu days, so the Graves and the Gragas will need to help out the Twitch, for example, when it comes to wave clear, but Lulu can do some wave clearing. This is, once again, a snowball draft for KT. Worked till it didn't in game one, and they're going all in, trying to take it in the mid game, because they have a lot of picks before the shields and all the other frustrations come out from SKT.
I mean, talking about damage on the side of SKT, Peanut might not be the least sin, but does have his hands on that Graves. He's been piloting that very well, much better than we saw from Score there in game number 2. Of his last 4 games, he's played the Graves 3 times.
And it's such a weird world where Faker's role in the final last 2 games has been to neuter pawn. It doesn't feel like the shoe is on the wrong foot. But that is exactly what his job is, to follow around, frustrate the LeBlanc, stop the snowball, all those things possible with a Lumin.
Well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Game number 3, match point for SK Telecom T1. We'll see if they can close it out right here. Take down KT Rolster, stop Score from another title. Or if they can fire back and initiate a reverse sweep, let's go ahead, get on to Summoner's Rift for what could be our final game of the spring final.
Everybody said same old, and the KT fans are probably feeling that same old sinking feeling, Achilles.
Definitely have to be. It's going to be a very quiet half of the venue here, should they start losing out early on in this game.
Out in force, predictably, for what was the hot ticket of the spring. Still in full voice.
Here that is joining this there in the crowd from KT, not on the same page. So really just playing like they're team.
The Rengar for Score. First Rengar we've seen in quite a while. No Rengar in the semi-final, despite Haru being a Rengar god by Korean standards. And it hasn't been a pick that has really been one you would say is quintessentially Score. He kind of turned around the narrative on his Lee Sin with some excellent Lee Sin games towards the end of the season, but there is certainly some setup around the Rengar, but Faker's looking pretty Super Saiyan in that picture.
Really nice, cheerful there.
Is it a cheerful when they look really grumpy and angry? It's more of a warning sign, if you ask me. Although caution Faker is pretty much applied since his first game ever.
It's just a lifelike cheerful. Faker very, very rarely looks happy when the games are on. Even after a victory, even when they're on match point, he's still just super serious mode.
And in many ways, he represents the antithesis of Score, where he has tasted victory so many times. 3-time world champion will finally open up a domestic championship lead over Bengi. And only Koma and Faker will be attributable to all those successes. And Score has, as the video showed, in between set 2 and 3, always been frustrated. 4th final ever won for Score. And who will be the star here to start the revival for KT that admittedly looks very unlikely, but it is not out of the midst. It's not out of the realm of possibility until that celebration confetti comes down.
One more chance here. Trying to bring themselves another bang. Again, and the exchanges coming out in the bottom lanes. They just try to chunk out that Twitch. No shields, but the ebb and flow will be there for Wolf. They try to just go ahead and work him down. Ball forward start yet again, so he does have the triple pots. So he can take more of this harass that's coming through. Peanut is yet again rotating down towards the bottom side of the map very early on. Score is low, so even if Peanut shows,
we've seen this before.
Could just be a turnaround kill in onto the Rengar. He's wrapping around, Exhaust coming down, Depth not flashing yet, pops the kill to start things off. The line not going to connect, but now the bubble comes through onto Mana. Can they finish him off though? Big Mantra Q into the fadeaway, but the Tox is coming through. Will not burn down the shield there to keep him alive. The Plague, I should say, will not finish him off. So first blood, not going to happen. All summoner spells burned by both bottom lane teams.
Yeah, 8 summoner spells, so no advantageous trade in terms of summoners for the side of SKT. As Peanut's getting real Rambo mode.
He's looking for Mana here as he makes his way back in underneath the turret. Not able to get that bubble in time. They want to go for this. They're going to force out the double TP from both these top laners. Likely just going to be the cancels, perhaps. Yeah, both will go ahead and cancel on their own as Depth just takes more damage. Peanut looking for that end of the line. Have to weave it around the bottom side of that tower, but now Faker
going to stop the minion dying
with a TP of his own. Mana going low, gets taken out as Wolf finds the first blood. The turret shots come through. He will die, and now Peanut in no man's land, desperately trying to get in range of Depth to finish him off. Flashes in, will go down, but bang, scoops up the kill. Meanwhile, back in the mid lane, Faker flashing in, gets the solo kill onto Pawn. 3 on the board for SKT in an explosive start of the game. It's just 4 minutes in.
And this is what can happen in the Lulu versus LeBlanc lane. You go so offensive in your rune page for the LeBlanc that you are surprised by specifically the Pix damage in the early game. Same thing happened for Power of Evil on this LeBlanc, the Lulu pick in the mid lane. Get that first blood. Now, the trade in bot lane was not ideal. The reason why they went for it is because they could teleport onto a minion, keep it alive, and take multiple turret hits, and potentially look for the dive. But just like we saw some ill-advised dives by Huni and Peanut in the top lane earlier in the season, they really, really were transparent in what they were trying to do. But Faker getting the solo kill in the mid lane made it all work.
Kind of brings it all together, but a double kill over to the Ashe. Definitely going to hurt Vaughn. Goes in onto Faker. That chain, Faker's still safe, end of the line procced, and Vaughn gets chunked out quite a bit. Still will be all right now. Going to be hunting. Mantra coming through. Tether not connecting in onto the Lulu. They find Wolf. They lock him down and score. He's wrapping around. Gets a leap bit over the wall. Chain not going to connect in from Vaughn. And Peanut is just firing off from the sidelines. Nice bubble. Stops up the Rengar, but he lands that full charge. Bola locks down the Nami. He will fall. 0 summoner spells still available for Wolf. And now KT maybe looking to take away this blue buff.
There was never a blue buff take by Peanut because he passed so quickly down bot and the action never stopped. Mana walking out trying to relieve pressure. Peanut
Bang
does
is
have
wrapping
smite.
around though. He's stealth. Blue buff may just be surrendered. Score pushing back in. Gonna be looking for it. Smite comes out. Peanut takes it. Now Depth arriving. Fires off the volley over the wall. Gets a bit of damage in it. Peanut, no flash. Gets the quick draw, but goes so low. The Bola will not connect. There's no way to follow up. He barely makes it out with his life and with the blue buff.
And he invests a control ward as well just to go for the attempt at the sniper wave. Top lane has been completely ignored, but predictably has been the Jace getting a significant CS advantage. We know how these lanes play out.
I mean, and that's really what's keeping KT in the gold lead at the moment, just 400, but having the Jace this far ahead, it's really working out.
It's such an empty advantage, though. Sure, it shows through in terms of gold, but we know how this lane goes. It's not quite Shen. It's a better lane up for the Gragas because he does have the ability to AoE wave clear. So, sure, there is a lead. Sure, it helps the numbers, but it doesn't really grant KT anything.
Oh, I'm just saying that's the only thing that they really have going for them.
Well, at some point, we can't just find every single check and balance because they're all looking a bit forlorn on the side of KT. We're also not out of this game by any means, though. The Chalice of Harmony comes out. Wouldn't have predicted 2 Chalices in the mid lane in the final of the LCK.
Definitely an odd one. Faker, again, like you said, swapping back over to 2016 mode with these picks.
It's funny how this couple of last series of the LCK has echoed the past. We had a semi-final where
all 3 of his picks are 2016 picks for him.
All I mean is, you think of the semi-final, build up the Alpaca, build up Depth was kind of the way, just like EDG were famous for over the course of 2 years. And now the Lulu comes back largely out of meta, but in a spot where it stymies the LeBlanc just the same as the Karma was able to, and stops Pawn from having the star-making performances he was having in the semi-final, and indeed the quarterfinal against MVP. So what's old is new again, and that usually means SKT wins the championship.
They're certainly poised to it. Find themselves find our way into an advantage, though. Be a nice way to kick things off with this third game. Try to make it the final one. Getting some counter jungling done. Goes back to pick up that red buff.
Feels like counter jungling is actually his own jungle, but he's on the back foot so much in the early game from all the pathing that has come through and the fact that Jace can leave lane that he certainly hasn't had much time to clear camps. He's many camps behind, but his impact on the map has been so much more important. Going for what is always the risky early gank down bot, because if you get nothing from it, you lose free camps. If you go bot lane and get a single summoner, you can often lose level 4 for multiple minutes into the game because of the longer respawns, but both times went even or more. And maybe it was Peanut saying, hey, let's make the turret dive happen because I've kind of given up any hope of taking my early jungle camp. I need experience somewhere.
Slowed him up a little bit, but overall still going to be in a pretty decent spot. At the moment, really just a Caulfield's Warhammer coming through from the score that's separating the two junglers. Top lane still painful to watch for Huni. 2 CS down, has that budget rod of ages coming through with Triple Thorn's ring.
Can max Q and just wave clear though. It's a lot happier than Shen, where we saw so many times Huni had spent what felt like 3 minutes trying to push up as Jace roamed.
Don't be concerned about the utility that the Gragas will offer later on the game. That would be quite nice for that Stand United. They're getting traded on. Chain comes through, they lock him in and score. A nice little thrilling hunt to the mid lane. Won't be leaping in for the turret dive.
Just waiting to cancel the leap in with the Lulu ultimate. Knew there wasn't enough burst on the LeBlanc. Teleport LeBlanc only can do so much damage this early in the game and didn't have any actual damage. Only had a single Doran's, but we'll go back and get that revolver. You talk about the utility. This could definitely be defensive ults from the Gragas. Healing for the Twitch and killing the front line because 3 games in a row, no one's building any real armor. Sure, be a little bit on the side of score, but he's got a one-way ticket into the back line. Will probably die pretty quickly, and from there, they can regroup, get the Q reset if a single kill comes through, and we saw how those team fights go in Game 2.
Both junglers hovering around that top side of the map. No one wants to get into a scuffle at the moment here. Peanut is looking for a bit of a gank, but will be spotted by this ward inside the brush. So good forward vision thrown out here by Smeb. Flash body slam in. Trying to pop this back up the lane, but Smeb, very nice flash to the side, gets himself out to safety.
A lot more counterplay available now for the cask plays that Gragas used to profit on before the minimum animation time was thrown in. So trade of flashes, which is advantage Gragas, given that next time Jace may not be able to disengage in the same manner. Gragas stayed top, doesn't actually have the ultimate.
There we go, yet another forward ward, saving lives in the top lane. Keeping himself safe, but he's just trying to not really claw his way back into this as far as the CS is concerned, but not let that lead grow even larger for Smith. He's keeping it pretty tight here. Himself in the game. Ocean Drake starting us off yet again in Game 3. Likely not going to see that taken for a while.
And I wrote notes, I was sitting there and I'm like, well, SKT will come in big favorites. So what does a KT victory look like? Yes, they're going to look and try and get some damage onto Deft. Peanut is in the bot side jungle, but we'll back away. See Peanut doing some more counter jungles. So again, I wrote down, okay, what does KT winning look like? And I feel like we got a bit of a preview of that in the semi-final against Samsung. As one's actually hitting both chains.
Chains do come through, finger going low, still has not flashed. We'll go ahead and pop that wild growth in onto himself. It's a bit of a heal coming out from the Nami. Really good trading from Pawn. You're saying, though, we're still trying to figure out what a KT victory looks like. They are as well.
So I wrote down, play around bot lane like they did versus Samsung, traditional playstyle with Deft, EG used to do. 3-time MVP for Deft already. He's been the star for KT in their 6 wins. Pawn has been great as well. And Smeb wins carry match up top. Well, they didn't play around bot lane, which is not necessarily a criticism. Obviously, they were putting their eggs in different baskets. But crucially, Smeb has been denied carry top matchups largely. Did well in Game 2 when he finally got one, but otherwise it's been tanks for the side of Huni. And it felt like both those things were needed, in addition to everyone playing at the top of their game in order to win. But the other factor was SKT has kind of seen the best from KT Rolster. They saw them take down Samsung in an upset. A lot of the aces in their sleeves had to be used to beat Samsung, who were no easy opposition coming in favorites in the semi-final. And what do you think about, when you think about the innovation that KT showed there, you try innovation again, you try something new, and it's high variance. It either really works or it really doesn't. They stuck with what worked for them in the semi-final, but it feels like SKT has had that well scouted. And then you basically say, well, if SKT sit back and play their traditional style, they should win. And that has basically been what's happened, in that they've stuck the course, played SKT League of Legends, even with Peanut being a lot more of a firecracker than, for example, Blank, and with Huni playing a carry matchup in Game 2. But it still has looked quintessentially SKT.
Right now, KT's trying to get something to happen here. Score sitting up in the top lane. Swept this brush. Knows that he's not spotted, but he's sticking around for too long. Huni's playing way too defensively. Won't be able to find that in. He's just going to go ahead and start working his way back.
For context, the bot lane turret for Samsung on the red side, 2 games in a row, in Game 1 and Game 2, lasted 13 minutes if you add the time of Game 1 and Game 2 together. Hasn't been falling anywhere near the time that KT wanted to, so Mata's had to stay in lane. 2v2 laning hasn't necessarily been a massive strength of Deftamata. They've looked better at it recently, but unlocking Mata to roam with Score was how they did their business in the quarters and semis, and it's been extended laning phases, which does not suit KT.
Yeah, we saw it, help them get that early lead there in Game 1, knocking down those outer turrets very rapidly, but it just has not happened here. Well, in the mid lane, smoke screen thrown down, Pawn going low, flash forward into the collateral damage, and Peanut puts another one on the board here for SK Telecom. Playing a little bit too far forward there is Pawn, getting cheeky, getting cocky, going up against Faker, knows that he can handily win those exchanges, but when Peanut's involved, he goes down. And
the aggressive tendencies of Pawn are being used against him. When he was at his best on Samsung White, he was known for playing aggressive, did it on ADG all the time, on champions like Cassidy, and forcing people to react in the mid lane. But he has the Rengar. He has someone who wants a coordinated gank, and in general, it's been stymieing picks from SKT and good pathing that have basically undone Pawn.
TP though, they're still looking for Faker. Wolf is nearby, but Mata's collapsing in as well. Mata not going to connect with it, throws down that tether. By the way, they're up some for a period of time, but they still get the Lulu in the end. Chain comes through, blocks up Wolf. Ash Arrow comes down as well. They jump in, a double kill over to Score, but Peanut is able to take out the Rengar. Now Huni, here's arriving off that TP. Bev following very closely behind. The chains connect, the shock blast hits, the heal comes down for Bang. Keeps the Gragas alive, and SKT now on the back foot, have to get themselves out to safety. They lose 2, they get 1.
Good trade there for KT Rolster in general. Definitely start the lane, no spray and pray to abuse, no wild growth, so when it comes to ult cooldowns, much more relevant in the early game before they're shorter. Was well timed from KT Rolster.
Yet again, really far forward, taking so much damage, and he's just going to get melted out. Now Faker coming in with a TP of his own, slows up Mata. Do they want to go in for the dive? Stick around for a little bit, but no minions nearby. Mata not low enough to pop him. They'll let him walk out with his life, but they answer back. They go ahead and they trade up yet again.
People want to spin the yarn of Pawn being the Faker Slayer, but it just really has never been true. Sure, he's had good games. It's a single series you can point to in 2014 where he did Monster Faker, but when it was on EDG, this was the story. When it's on KT, this again has been the story. He's had some great games, but SKT have been on the red side, always had an answer to the lane control champions that have been chosen. And those answers have been very, very strong.
Yep.
On our screens, we're seeing Peanut on a bit of an invasion mission.
So that was first brick. Just missed it there from the replay, going over to SK Telecom. So knocking down that first tower, surging themselves forward as far as the gold is concerned. 1.9 thousand in the lead at the moment. 16 minutes into this game.
There's Spain, second coming in from Faker. You can smell the confidence from his items. No ardent sensor this game.
The classic pickup.
It is the classic pickup for Faker. Morellonomicon into Lich Bane was a very common pickup for him when the Lulu was back in the meta. They don't have worries about damage fall off when they have both Peanut and Bank doing well.
Mata pushing in, finds Wolf, but doesn't know that the rest of SKT is waiting here. Or jumps in, looking for Bank, takes him low, but he's still kiting back, firing off with a spray and pray, and that is going to be the collateral damage, finding the snipe, getting rid of Score. They chase in, they lock down Mata, a double kill, over to Peanut on the grave. Faker has to kite back around the Raptor pit to try to keep that turtle alive, but SKT in the meantime, the rest of them on the hunt for depth. He's up against the wall, the smoke screen to slow him out, end of the line coming through. He gets taken out, the delay, triple kill, going over to the graves. Fire back, KT able to pick up that turret in mid. They're looking for a kill onto Faker. No wild growth available, no flash. He's trying to make it in to get to safety, won't be able to do so. But now Bang says, all right, I'll just open up on the Jace, who's low on mana. One more hit might just do it. seems like they just have to let this one go. So KT able to find a kill, able to find that turret. Now Bang pushing forward, flashes away, doesn't get taken down by Pawn. Body slams forward, tosses out the barrel, but Pawn shoots to the left.
Wolf wants this one.
Nev flashing away, trying to get himself out of here safely. Low on mana, the blast cone is there, takes him a little bit further away. Can they get it though? The exhaust thrown down, the bubble will not connect, and Wolf is trying to go for the kill, but mana is there. They will have to peel back. A very extended chase across the map. KT, they get a kill, they get a turret, but they lose so much more.
Yeah, with Smeb in the bot lane with no teleport, no way for him to react. That's why he walked up mid, got bonus kill onto Faker, who overstayed with no ult. Pawn has been hunted down 3 times already.
Oh, they pin him into the turret. Collateral damage comes down. The barrel from Mooney downtown. The fadeaway explosion takes out the LeBlanc yet again. 0, 4, and 3. Pawn. This is not his series. This is not his game.
Red side has been expertly drafted by Coma and by SKT to shut down aggression and stymie it at every point. Pawn has tried to make things happen. That's the only way he has ever played League of Legends. He has tried to be a pressure point, but that pressure point has burst and is in danger of just spilling over to the rest of the team and basically having no chances to get back into this series. That part was already apparent before the game started, but he has a gunblade and not much more. The AP is coming in, items are coming in for Bang. Smeb can try and play the map, but it feels like every time there's 3v3, 4v4, 5v5, you can pick the winner. It starts with S. Not Smeb.
There you go, good clarification. Well, Smeb does win himself a bit of a consolation prize. He picks up yet another turret here for KT. Keeping the gold close, but it's still 2.2 thousand with a turret advantage for themselves. And Telecom starting to roam down to the bottom side of the map. You can see Faker, Wolf with Peanut in tow, will be arriving here to try to keep this turret alive. It's been shoved down to about half. Faker getting pinched in by bottom. The rest of the team is here. Tidal wave coming through. They won't get the pop-up. Toss down onto Peanut, just trying to keep himself alive, and it's not going to happen. Peanut puts another one on the board. 6, 1, and 4 now. With the Graves flashing in. End of the line comes down. Collateral damage. Connects in on the depth, but it's not going to do it up.
He's not done.
But he's not done yet. The Ash Arrow coming through.
That's a monster.
Nowhere to go. Takes him out another one. 7, 1, and 4. The double TPs from Smeb and Pawn arriving. But honestly, they might have just set themselves to their own death. Score. Jumps in. Flashes away, trying to keep himself alive. The cast not going to connect in from Hooney as he tries to tank up in the front line, tries to stop KT from going in any further, but they find the bubble, they chunk them out, the cast explodes, they work them down, and KT are just being bled out underneath their own turret.
Bang!
Now finally arriving,
all lining up.
himself a triple kill, but Peanut takes the first one, the spray and pray comes through, and Bang picks up the assist. Smeb, nowhere to go, running up the lane, just to his inevitable death, will go down. They hand this one over to the Twitch, and pretty much all the hopes of KT Rollster have gone out the window.
A delayed ace for SK Telecom T1. Didn't even need their AD carry, and they protect the AD carry comp, because apologies, they've got Peanut in the jungle, on the jungle Graves. He's a marksman in disguise and doing it in just the most cataclysmic fashion possible. All the speed ups from every ability from Nami and the whimsy from the Lulu. Continue to chase down. He's up a lazy 3,000 gold in the jungle, if you don't mind. Backs away as Bang kind of wonders about this comp that was built around him. He's like, wait, Peanut ate my lunch.
Double shields, be damned. Peanut does not care.
This is so important. And now he's
ripping apart KT Rollster.
And look, after Worlds, there were no questions left for Peanut. He stepped up in the biggest stage possible and delivered. Sure, didn't go on to win, but that was a career-making thing for him. A guy who, you know, a word like choker, he was still very young. It was still very early, but you could understand people try and level it. He has gone from being someone who was considered that to being a big game player. This is a big game. He is performing and will likely be double MVP to end this series. And sure, he had some down moments adapting to a system that wasn't set up around the jungle, like Rock's Tigers were, who would always react to Peanut's aggression. SKT have been set up around many members, even in the course of this series, and this one's all about Peanut.
On again, getting chased down. SKT, hungry for his blood. They have the wraparound coming through from Hooney, trying to cut him off as he cuts up into the enemy jungle. That wave comes down, they pop him up in the air, slowed up by that blade coming through from Bang. Couple more shots to take him out. He's going to go down. You know, with the potion sticking through. Oh.
Unless.
Oh. All right.
17 HP.
All right, well, one more hit will do it. And there he goes. Now he's a little anticlimactic. They get him in the end. Bang puts another on the board. Now 4-0-6 with this switch. Really just trying to get that MVP.
And once the first few kills came down, you can't really blame Fawn any more than you would based on the first 3 kills, because if he's going to sit there and wave clear onto turret as a block, lose his pick. There's nothing to do, nothing to be said about that. So trying to create pressure, but being expertly killed at every opportunity. SKT turn on Baron. They've got the true tank to turn if they need to.
The pings are coming out. Score and Smev are nearby. Ash Arrow available here from Depth. Hasn't tossed it out yet. It's 3,000 HP in on the Baron. Ana getting chunked out. Baker doing so much damage with the help of Peanut. Calls out the Redemption. Now turning it on to Score, trying to pop him. In stealth, they are able to find him, and Hooney gives the kill. Now back over to the Baron. Take a miracle still here for Smev, but already uses the Shock Blast, so Baron just goes over to SKT. They pick it up at 23 minutes, and it was Smev. Cut off yet again, but honestly, SKT, they don't even care about killing the Jace. They don't give a damn. They're just going to go take these turrets.
And it's flawless bookkeeping by SKT. Their Baron game is on a different level to any other team in the world. They had both their tanks juggling aggro. Let's see if Smev can turn this around. Probably not.
He gets the smack in, avoids the bubble, but still sticking down rather low. They want to continue that chase it. Meanwhile, Baker in the mid lane. He'll get tethered down by Embodic. Some live leads for the moment. The Wild Growth doing quite a lot of work. Final damage to the sidelines, jumps them down, and Bang arrives, and now they're going to go ahead and turn this fight completely on its head. Flush over the wall from Bang, into the blade of the Root King, comes up with another kill as they take out Pawn for the 7th time this game. 3 kills, yet again on the board for SKT. Baron empowered minions coming through. They knock down the inner turret in mid. They're going to be looking for inhibitors soon after. And SKT, 11,000 gold in the lead, 24 minutes. Are sending a message, not just to KT Rolster, not just to the other teams at LCK, but every team watching in the world that will be at MSI.
Everything SKT has touched this series has gone to gold. Everything has worked. All the drafts, different ways. Protect the Bang in Game 2. The Big Fizz counterpick in Game 1 with low wave clear. They've largely played around win condition and looked flawless doing it. And they just have so many stars when Peanut can put in big game performances like this. Faker, Bang, we know all about them. Hooney has been relied on to be just a steady rock in the top lane, and he's been able to do that against Type from 2015 and 2016. And KT are not good enough. They look second best. Their drafts have been a bit anemic, returning to things that have not worked today. Some of these strategies, what they had against Samsung was Herculean. It was a big, big result for them. But unfortunately, they left it all in Sangam East Stadium, many kilometers away from here. And on this day, they have been second best and then some.
SKT fearlessly pushing into the jungle. You can hear the thrill of the hunt coming up from Scorch, trying to zone them out, stop them from pushing in.
To be fair, giving KT fans a thrill right now is pretty hard when they're 12,000 gold behind at 25 minutes, so zoning hunts may have to be the way to instill thrill. Smev does a lot of damage, that part is true.
It is. He's waiting in the brush, with that Shock Blast in on the Faker, trying to pinch in. Score's not there to follow up with the bullet and try to slow him up fast enough.
Throw the hunt timed out as well.
The rest of SKT though, 15 down yet again.
The monster
comes out already. The flash away from Smev. Right away will not connect, but you can see the arrival of just 2 more members of SKT just sends them up, running to the hills, back under the sanctity of these turrets, which might not exist for much longer.
Turbo Twitch!
That's going to be the boost there with the Wild Growth onto Bang, and it just sends KT scattering into the base.
KT fans may be scattering from this venue very soon. Insane gold lead for 26 minutes. The games have gotten faster, game on game. Trying to break the base in the bot lane, and all Score can do is watch.
Bang picking up that red box, and goes in, jumps on top of him. Redemption coming down, he gets popped up in time, and on, locked up by the bubble, tries to juke his way out, might still go down in the exchange. They find one in onto Bang. So they trade back for depth, an exchange of 80 carries, and Smev is just going to get taxed onto the end of it as Peanut takes him out with a double kill.
And Peanut takes down his former brother in arms in Smev. Just too expertly. First inhibitor of the game will go down. Hooney was just re-pushing the top lane. Now they're backing away as Graves. He's not grouped, but they've got enough damage anyway.
Score getting locked up yet again. Baker trying to hit away with these Lichbane procs. Send Score running. They get the inhib. 27 minutes on the clock. 29 kills in this game. And well more than half of them in the hands of SKT.
When I sat there thinking about the future, and certainly this was the matchup I expected for the final, But my understanding of SKT was they'd taken two big risks. They'd gone from Duke to Huni, a man known for his carries, not known for his tank play or his teleport play being on form. And they'd gone for Peanut, a man that was built around from the jungle. Not like other jungle choices. I thought someone like Beyond, or maybe even a Wings, or more of a role player, would allow Faker and Bang to do the heavy work. But they went risky because they saw the raw talent of Peanut and thought they could make it work. And, you know, if you had asked me before the season to predict who would win Worlds, I still would have said SKT. But when it came to the first season, I thought it would take a long time to get the too many cooks problem done, to actually work out where the broth was going to go. But it's taken precisely 3.5 months for SKT to already reach peak performance, and every team around the world, attending MSI or no, will be watching this and trying to learn and just coming up clueless because SKT are many miles ahead.
I mean, it just seems like there's nothing that Coma can't do when it comes to his roster. I guess he can't get a watch, so that's the one thing that he doesn't have going for him. But you can see SKT now pushing down this mid lane. They want another inhibitor. Getting ready to come up, and Huni bringing in the top lane. Very big, has that shield out score, going on a hunt, going to be looking for somebody. They're looking for Faker, flashes away, doesn't get connected by the shock blast or the Agentic Kryptonite arrow. Map dashes in, gets a bit damage. Now on to Peanut. He now needs to exit. Yeah, Bang just firing away with the spray and pray. A couple more shots would take him out if they can get in range. They speed him up, and that's going to be it. The chase goes down. A lot of the wave clear of KT taken away. Now they just keep chipping out at this mid turret.
Bang just wants to pat the KDA, again hoping for some MVPs, like you say. If Peanut wins the MVP here, he will be the MVP of the playoffs.
This is true desperation. The TP in from Pawn just to try to kill Bang, flashes over the wall.
Just to be clear, this is not desperation. This is just wanting to get some KDA. He wants a single kill this Pawn.
All right, well, I don't even know if he's going to get it. Chain comes down. Meanwhile, the base is crumbling. They get rid of Depth. Pawn going low. One more hit would take him out, but SK Telecom in the meantime, they've done it. Less than 30 minutes on the clock. They take down the Nexus. They take down KT Rolster. They put another championship title on their belt. And SKT G1 will be going to MSI.
Welcome to your new world overload. Same as the last overlords is SK Telecom G1. They changed some things up. Prophet, Peanut, Huni, Sky on the bench, of course. The squad changes face, but Faker remains the same.